Hello dear viewer and welcome to my very first YouTube video. For this occasion, I found an interesting manga called Gachi Koi Mau Sama. It's about this dude who calls himself a hero and wants to defeat the Demon Lord. However, the Demon Lord is a woman who actually wants to marry him. So have fun with the recap and let me know if you liked it with a like and a subscription. Our hero bursts through the door and declares that today he will defeat the Demon Lord. However, the Demon Lord who already awaited him suddenly asks the hero to marry her, but because he is a Sigma male, he declines her offer. He asks why a brave hero like himself should marry the Demon Lord, to which she answers that she's madly in love with him. The hero, whose name is Yu, tells her that he actually wanted to kill her. The Demon Lord, who wants to kill everyone but Yu and spend time with him alone, isn't bothered at all and even teases him about wanting to kill her. Because Yu is no simp, he raises his sword to slay her, but the sword breaks with just one touch from the Demon Lord. While Yu is shocked at what happened, the Lord is completely lost in her delusion about being killed by her lover. She tells Yu that the time will come when everyone but themselves will be dead, so they will be together forever. Back in the castle, we see a flustered Demon Lord who thinks about seeing Yu-kun again while looking at her pictures that she made of him. Suddenly she spots another woman on one of the pictures and swears to kill her. It seems that the girl is called Emma, and she is a childhood friend of Yu, so she demands to bring Emma to the castle. Yu, who finds out about it, is enraged and calls her out for it. However, the Demon Lord blames the fault entirely on Yu because he didn't tell her about his childhood friend. Yu-kun raises his sword and is ready to slay the Demon Lord when suddenly she creates a Yu-kun for herself. At first glance, Yu is surprised and even compliments her work, just to realize shortly after that such behavior is totally weird. However, she explains herself by telling Yu about how lonely she is when he is out with his friends. Yu is pissed off and tells her to undo his twin copy. She tells him that it's not a copy made with magic, but a super realistic holograph which is being projected in real time by a screen placed in the castle. She even modeled the design and movement by hand with the help of his childhood friend. Okay guys, even if she isn't violent or hostile to people or his friends, this is still some weird stalker behavior. However, Yu is just glad that Emma is okay, and he is just pissed by the games of the Demon Lord. She responds very angrily that it's not a game to her and she just wanted Yu-kun to notice her. While telling this, she breaks down in tears and Yu has to comfort her. He tells her not to worry because as long as she is still alive, he will be interested only in her. The Demon Lord is totally hooked and starts to imagine her future with Yu-kun again. However, he still just wants to kill her. The next page shows a Demon Lord who's being pressed against a wall while Yu tells her that he likes her. She is flustered and blushes while telling Yu to wait. Turns out it was just a wet dream and she can't control her horniness and intrusive thoughts anymore, so she goes to see Yu-kun. She arrives at the birthplace of Yu and sniffs his smell in the air. Then she noticed a rock on which Yu sat a while ago and starts to take pictures of it when a familiar voice asks her what she is doing here. She turns around to find Yu-kun, who has an unpleasant expression on his face. She tells him to marry her again, but our boy stands there, unfazed, and refuses again. So the Demon Lord tells him about her dream last night and proclaims it as a vision of the future. Yu wants to make sure that such a future never happens and takes his sword. He is annoyed with the grim talk, but she just confesses her love to him again. He asks her what she is there for, clearly not to talk about wet dreams, of course, and she confesses that the reason she came to town is pilgrimage. Yu is relieved and disappointed at the same time that the Demon Lord came to town just to play. He yells at her to go home and not cause a panic in the town, but she refuses. She refuses because she just wanted to see Yu-kun's town. She had no bad intentions besides wanting to know even more about Yu-kun. She screams that she just wants to stay in the city and Yu even allows her to do so as long as she stays in his sight. She is flustered and tries to ask about his fabric softener, but he declines to answer. Once again, Yu is in front of the Demon Lord's castle, but this time with another person. However, his friend gets it all wrong and thinks Yu wants to confess his feelings. They enter the castle and are surprised that no one is there. It turns out that the Demon Lord, whose name is Mao, is late and apologizes to Yu-kun. The reason for her late arrival is her bangs that are not in place. Yu isn't bothered by that. while his companion reaches out to Mao-sama and kisses her hand, calling her a beautiful woman. Damn, he saw a woman and gave in so easily. You must be the only Sigma in here. Both you and Mao are cringed out of their minds, while the other dude is still all flirty murky. However, it seems to work because Mao starts to blush. She says no because Yu is the only one for her, while Atto tries to grab her cheek. Then something snaps, something inside Yu snaps, and he grabs Atto's hand and says, "Stop that, fam." The reason for this is because he is worried about Atto's safety, even though I doubt that. He grounds Atto while Mao tells him that his existence itself is fan service. What the hell is with this chick? Yu declines her love one more time and prepares himself to slay her, while Atto prepares a water spell. He hits Yu with it and says that he doesn't want to attack her. Yu is disappointed because he didn't think that Atto is such a simp and the water would be perfect against the Demon Lord because it's his weakness. Mao thinks to herself how good Yu looks with wet hair. Yu prepares for another attack, but Atto disappoints him again while hitting with another attack. Meanwhile, Mao is dripping wet down there, even though she wasn't hit by any water like Yu was. We see a depressed Mao experiencing withdrawals from Yu-kun. She knows that he has gone to another town for a while, but is enraged about how long a while is taking. The vessels and slaves notice her downcast appearance and decide to do something about it. They dress themselves in Yu's clothing and even put on a mask to look like him. Mao is flustered while her vessels tell her to leave it to them. Meanwhile, Yu is returning back and is pissed off because he had to gather a weapon for Atto. He decides to kill Mao from the back and notices something. He looks through the window and sees dozens of copies of himself. He thinks it's some kind of ritual with black magic, but in reality, it's just an act to cheer Mao up. Her vessels recorded the voice of Yu in a voice memo saying, "I love you, Mao-sama." They even recorded some other voice lines to help her fall asleep. They even mixed a bunch of photos of Yu together, from when he was a child to eating. Basically, they stalked the heck out of this boy without him even noticing. The peak of this psychosis is reached when Mao is given onigiri that are made by Yu. Her vessels are glad that they made their lord happy again, and they all cheer while Yu is outside the window, wondering how idiotic demons could be. We see Mao asking Atto for a favor. She wants Yu-kun to smile. She noticed how Yu smiled at other girls but never at her, so she wants him to smile like that just once. Basically, she feels there's no other choice. Either she wants him to smile or to destroy everyone else so he can only smile with her. Atto agrees to help. He suggests making Yu smile by giving him a present. Mao thinks about gifting him a whole country, which for me would be a perfect present, honestly. But Nato ruins everything by saying that's too much, so Mao thinks about gifting him a sword, but no matter what she would gift him, he wouldn't smile because it's gifted by the Demon Lord. So Nato decides to dress her as a normal-looking girl and suggests approaching Yu like that. Nato then proceeds with his simping, and it even works because Mao thanks him for the help. However, their plan doesn't work because she immediately gets exposed. She tries to ignore the fact, but it doesn't work, and suddenly she trips, and all her presents she bought for him fall out of her stash. She got him ham, fan letters, and even a new sword with his name on it made by herself. Okay, I have to be honest, I would marry this girl because she is an absolute keeper, for real. Anyways, her work must have paid off because Yu actually smiled, which gave Mao a feeling of pure joy and happiness. We see Yu, who wants to become stronger for the purpose of defeating Mao, who appears to be behind him and cheering for him. He is interrupted and annoyed by her cheerful existence, and while the two are arguing, a trap suddenly activates, and they both fall into it. Mao is concerned and wants to perform CPR but is stopped by Yu, who flicks her forehead and declines like a real G. Yu is wondering how they can escape the trap and suggests using magic, but unfortunately Mao has run out of magic. The reason is that she watched a movie on a big screen projected by her magic yesterday, and now Yu is annoyed and tries to look for another solution. After hours of searching for an exit, they find nothing, and Yu decides to wait until the morning. Mao starts to imagine how they would spend the night together but is quickly interrupted by Yu, who tells her to stay further away. While Mao tries to wheedle her way out of this, Yu is already one step ahead and decides to use his sword as a line that she is not allowed to cross. However, Mao isn't intruded by that and comes as closely as she can, suggesting Yu sleep on her lap. But Yu stays a Sigma and declines even twice. Mao decides to count Yu-kuns instead of sheep and quickly falls asleep, while Yu is wondering about the fact that he never saw or heard a demon lord sleep next to him. Suddenly, she flips her Uno reverse card and falls on his shoulder while asleep. He tries to wake her, but her psychotic dreams won't let her wake up, so he decides to just put his cape around her. One of Mo's vessel brings her some pancakes when suddenly another demon appears and greets her. His name is Selk, and he is the leader of the Demon Lord's army. He reports his weekly status and asks about the incident in the dungeon. She tries to neglect it, but Selk asks her if she is willing to fight the hero. He questions her power and leadership skills, but is interrupted by another vessel who warns him not to speak in that manner to the Demon Lord. It unravels a conflict between the two, and Mao tries to sneakily eat the pancakes while they argue. Selk calls Mao out to fight the hero today, and as if called by a higher power, Yu actually appears in front of the castle. He starts with his usual warnings and preachings, but is quite surprised by the serious manner of the Demon Lord. However, Mao has actually an internal crisis because she doesn't want to speak to him in that manner. Yu comes near and examines if it is really Mayu, and she gets flustered immediately because his face is so near to her. Yu gets it all wrong and thinks this is some sort of fake to irritate him, but all Mayu can think of are Yu-kun's strong and masculine hands grabbing her very tightly. She thinks of a plan to escape Selk's testing eyes and trips. The next scene shows how Mao pins Yu to the floor. A gigantic explosion goes off and smoke clouds the vision, but when Selk goes to check for them, he finds a desperate Mao with a nosebleed. He mistakes it as murder intent and leaves the scene while the two of them stay on the ground. Mao is once again in the city and even gets recognized as the Demon King. Is she the Demon Lord or the Demon King? I'm quite confused at that point, but never mind. Turns out it was Emma who recognized her, and she notices that Mao's sleeve is torn. Emma invites her to come to her place to get it fixed and asks if she was in the city to meet the hero. Mao confesses that it's true, and Emma suggests going to watch at Yu's house. Mao starts to have another crisis, but is quickly calmed down by Emma. However, the hero isn't home today, and Mao focuses her attention on some childhood photos of Yu where he gets chased by a stray dog at every imaginable age. Then she notices a crack in the wall made by Yu and some old worn clothes from him, so she enlightens it as something holy. After this, they both start to watch a DVD with some memories. They finish, and Mao is in heaven when they notice that the light in Yu's house is on. She spots Yu-kun, who can't see well because of the dark, so he actually greets her back, which causes a cosmic spasm in Mao's whole body. We are greeted with a view of Mao as she relaxes in a hot spring. Yes, finally something spicy going on, and who would have thought that Yu is also there? They both see each other and are shocked by the other one's presence, so Yu-kun decides to go home. He is stopped by Mao, or at least she tries to stop him when a person comes and they both panic and hide. Yu tries to escape the situation before Ato finds out, while Mao's mind is only filled with unholy thoughts, so she unleashes a little moan. They get noticed by Eto, who asks what Yu is up to. Yu tries to talk around the bushes, but Ato wants to go straight into the bushes. Ato keeps drilling Yu, while Mao is getting more nervous every second, so Yu has to grab her very tightly and calm her. Ato finally leaves, convinced that Yu is a total weirdo, but Yu is just relieved that he left. Suddenly, Mao falls unconscious, and even though Yu is worried for a second, he understands the situation and lets her rest on the couch. On a hot summer day, we see Mao getting fried by the sun while being able to think only about Yu, as if it's usually different. She lets her imagination run wild about what Yu-kun could do in the summer, and even starts to have hallucinations of Yu-kun in front of her. It appears to be the real Yu, who unleashes his big sword and slams it into the ground. He misses the target, but Mao is just happy to see him again. However, she has a realization and warns him not to come any closer. It's because she's sweaty as heck, even though I wouldn't be against taking a little sniff. She refreshes herself, but Yu is unbothered, and while trying to swing his sword, he misses, and the sword falls to the ground. He blames his weakness on the hot temperatures in the Demon Lord's castle and starts to undress himself. Mao instantly gets excited and wants to get her camera out, but Yu is really sloshed by the heat. She offers him some ice cream, and even though he declines at first, he is slowly taken back by the heat, so he gets his ice cream from Mao and thinks to himself that it must all be a dream. Mao tries to stop his ice cream from melting and accidentally touches his face. Once again, she's all flustered while the hero is confused by the whole situation and falls unconscious while Mayu is still touching his face. Alright guys, that wraps up this manga. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments and feel free to give me some recommendations on how to improve my videos. As a little sneak peek for the next manga, it will be a story about a boy who wants to tame a sloppy woman. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, goodbye.